Some of it is societal. You know, the young men, suicide is a national problem. It also happens to be a dire, important, serious military problem.
Our veterans are a few of the most important citizens in our society. They have fought to protect and preserve our rights and liberties against the most terrifying adversaries on the planet. Through thick and thin, they have been there to protect our liberty. But once these soldiers return to our home soil, they begin a whole nother battle. In the year 2012, we have had the highest percentage of PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, afflicted veterans since the World War II. PTSD makes it harder for soldiers to relate to family and friends, can cause violent flashbacks to traumatic events, and, in some bad cases, can even cause a veteran to lose his or her home through inability to focus during a job and inability to pay their bills. PTSD is a serious problem that must be solved.
Without a job and a home, veterans are prone to disease and committing crimes and wasting away in the streets.
As it currently stands right now, of course, with the passage of the Veterans Skills to Jobs Act, that was a bipartisan a bill which was introduced by Congressman Denham and Congressman Walz. This actually was to break down some of the barriers to discuss what you're talking about, where the federal government who issues credentials and the licensing, mostly in the aerospace and maritime fields, to be able to look at that military training, look at the military education as well as experience, to be able to allow them to assess that, and then of course allow them to work in aircraft. One of the reasons why it's become a little harder for veterans, the new generation of veterans coming back, is one is some of the barriers that veterans are facing. Some of the barriers that they're facing has to do with veterans having a little bit hard time transitioning their skills, where employers in the private sector can understand what veterans have done in the military, but also what skill sets they bring, not just to the public, but also to the private sector.
Well, I come across veterans with PTSD almost every day that well, if they're using whatever substance it could be alcohol, crack cocaine, heroin, it could be anything, even bath salts. It's hard for them to keep friends and family because of the behaviors associated with the usage. So they burn their bridges and they end up in homeless shelters, unfortunately. A lot of them self-medicate in order to make their symptoms better. Sometimes they may not report symptoms of PTSD, but inside they really are feeling disturbed in one way or another. So whether I know it or not, if they're experiencing PTSD, a lot of times I know that something's going on because of the substance abuse.
In order to cope with their various disabilities and overall plight, a lot of homeless veterans turn to substance abuse. Over 19% of all veterans who served in the Iraq and Vietnam wars suffer from substance abuse, and their need to get rid of their bad memories and experiences can cause them to go to great lengths to obtain contraband. Examples of such need are unfortunate men and women who went so far as to sell most of their belongings to get drugs. These various problems are all huge contributing factors to our veterans breaking down and committing the ultimate sacrifice. Every year, roughly one veteran a day takes their own lives to alleviate the pain of an unfulfilling and tough life. These men and women commit suicide due to their homelessness, inability to pay debts, distancing from family members, inability to relate to spouses, drug abuse, alcoholism, and many other terrible and tragic reasons.
Whether it's a deployment or whether it's combat or whether it's even life-altering incidents, divorce, financial challenges.
16% of all veterans returning home from Iraq and Afghanistan are homeless. 19% of all combat-tested veterans suffer from a disability, mental or otherwise.
3.7% of all veterans who were in a relationship or married before their tour of duty were greeted by a divorce when they returned. 19% of all veterans who are disabled suffer from substance abuse.
But there is some optimism for these veterans.
Communities have adapted, they have innovated and introduced strategies to try to deal with homelessness, to prevent it. And so I think that we can't overlook the commendable work that's been done across the country.
But the question we ask you, Mr. President, is optimism enough?